So this is the Bakersfield Planning Commission meeting of Monday, July 7, 2025. And we'll open the hearing at 7 o'clock. Adjustments to the agenda. I'd like to add one at the end just to make sure that we're all aware of the agenda and minutes rules.
And what's that?
So it's the agenda and minutes rules.
Okay.
So we're getting that on the record. And then anything else for adjustments?
No,
Nope.
So we'll start with introductions. We'll start with. Oh,
Oh, I
Heather.
could let somebody in. Admit.
So you have to do that over there.
You there, Heather?
Oh, can you do that? Okay, good.
Hi, Heather.
Can you hear us okay?
Still muted.
Yeah, you're on mute if you're trying to talk.
I can hear you guys.
Okay, so we just opened at 7 o'clock. We adjusted the agenda to add number 10, agenda and minutes rules, and then making 11 the adjournment. And we're moving on to introductions. So we'll start with Nikki,
Nikki Crib.
Ken Carter.
Bill Irwin.
Gary Foot.
Heather Jewett.
That's Heather on the remote version of the meeting. And we are now moving on to the Boylan subdivision hearing. I assume that's you, sir. Get it.
You want to sit at that table and push the little mic button there and make sure it's green.
And for the record, could you state your full name, please?
Full name's Holton Roderick Boylan.
So Nikki, did you get that for the
I
minute?
did.
Very good. All right. So what have you got for us tonight, sir?
So what I got going on is I'm trying to, well, like we talked about, build a house, which that's already all permitted, ready to go. The shop. So I own a business, Ledge Tech Drilling and Blasting. The shop is for Ledge Tech Drilling and Blasting. We don't work out of the shop. It's more per se place for our equipment to land so we can work on it in the wintertime and keep all our supplies there and whatnot. But I have a partner in business. So for legality reasons, it would make most sense for us to subdivide off the 2 acres that we're trying to do right now so that we both can own that through the company. I don't own it. He doesn't own it. Company owns it till all is said and done with me and him, future years down the road, retirement age. I'll buy it back from the company and the shop will be mine when we're done, which in reality it is anyways, but for legality reasons, so one doesn't kind of overrun the other with the whole business thing. It would make more sense for Ledge Tech to own the 2 acre parcel. And that being said, because I bought 4 parcels up through there that are subdivided 10 acres, it just so happened that the place that we wanted to put the shop was on the same 10 acres that I wanted to put the house, just the way the lay of the land went and where the easiest, most workable land was. So that's what we're running into, trying to subdivide off that 2 acres and make it a buildable spot so we can stick that shop there so it's reasonable down by the road so that we can get our equipment unloaded safely and, you know, run it like we have been out of my house that I'm in now. But
Are those 4 lots still separate on the deed or is it?
separate, except for now what I got here shows that the 2 10-acre lots that my house would be on are now combined, except for that 2 acres where the shop's gonna be. So now that became an 18. Yeah. That became kind of an 18-acre lot now, two 10-acre lots over here still, and then a little 2-acre square and it's accessible by the road.
All right, yeah, once we get this map, it'll help us picture it a little better.
So you're requesting what's called a fixed area
The
allocation.
area allocate, yeah.
Thank you.
I've got multiple copies here. This will need it. There's two more there.
Yeah.
Anybody want to see it in the audience? Like, we have a couple extra copies. All right,
So there'd be an easement down at the bottom. That is the existing driveway that's gonna go up to my house, and you can see that it kind of wraps around back into lot 7 there, which is on the one that we, you know, that's the flattest down by the road. It'd be the most suitable for building down by the road for the shop area, because it's gonna have to be somewhat flat for us. It would take the least amount of construction as far as for me. But because it was on that 10-acre lot, we had to do a little finagling to make something like this come about.
And then,
so Old Creamery Road, is that right across from what used to be that creamery and now is Stone's Shells?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
okay.
last house that you can see up there is actually my parents' house. Quite a bit farther, just dead ends up there, but there's nothing else up there.
So looking at the bylaws for a fixed area allocation. That's 7.5 subdivision review, page 62. So for the purpose of the meeting, I'll read it so that everybody hears it all, because it's pretty short. It's 7.5 fixed area allocation for preservation of land within the rural and conservation districts, and this is currently the rural district. And purpose of the rural and conservation zoning districts to preserve farmland, forest, while permitting limited subdivision. In order to further the purpose of these zoning districts, land may be subdivided within the rural and conservation zoning districts in a manner that helps protect agriculture, forests, and primary conservation resources. Standards, a lot of no more than 2 acres may be subdivided in the rural zoning district or conservation zoning district, provided the lot meets the following requirements. So it's got to meet all of the requirements for a minor subdivision in section 7.2 and 7.3. So those are the sections that generally provide a table of things that we look for in the plans. The application shall meet all the subdivision standards in section 7.4 and the planning and design standards in article 8. The parent lot from which the new lot has been subdivided shall meet the minimum acreage requirements of the zoning district. The new lot and the parent lot shall both meet the minimum frontage requirements for the applicable zoning district. Additional lots cannot be created from a new lot that's been subdivided within the last 5 years. And a deed restriction shall be recorded in the town clerk's office, prohibiting further use of the fixed area allocation subdivision on the parent parcel for a period of at least 20 years. Conventional subdivision of the original parent parcel in conformance with these regulations is still allowed. So the parent parcel is a lot of 10 acres that is going to become a lot of 8 acres but you're merging that with the one to the north or the south?
It would be to the north,
And then
Lot
that,
eight.
east,
yeah,
kind of.
that's a better way to look
Lot
at it.
8, yeah.
Yep, lot 8, okay.
Yeah, so that blue line's dissolving that boundary.
Right.
And
To make it a, well, it'd be 20,
18,
20 and a half minus 2,
right,
18 and a half still.
okay. And then you will have therefore the frontage on Route 36 for what would be the lot 8 and lot 7 merged together. That frontage is not indicated on the drawing. So we would need to make sure we've got frontages.
What is the minimum?
So that's in the table that I was referring to.
Isn't it wrong? Frontage says 4.
What page is that frontage on?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just looking at the
Okay.
map here. It says there's 400 feet.
Yeah, the frontage, it says minimum district standards. Lot frontage is 400 feet, yes. So it's on the drawing. I can verify that in the bylaws. And setbacks 550 for the road, maximum for the yard.
Now, is that the same number for any building lot? Because if that's the case, then it would have to be.
Yeah,
Already subdivided presumably, so they must have met the
Right.
original.
well, you need to show that on the drawings.
It just,
when-
yeah,
wait.
so fine in terms of having enough space, it's just the map needs to show that.
Yeah, Jarvis and Bernard know that. I'm surprised it's not on there.
Yeah, I know,
They're
I'm
pretty,
surprised.
pretty right on that kind of stuff, but. Did they do those original surveys, you know, on
No,
those
that
lots?
was Trudell Engineering.
Or they're just, did Bernard and Jarvis just kind of go off those old surveys, you know, or did they actually resurvey it?
They came out and did the boundary adjustment and they came up and found at least lot 7 and 8's boundaries.
Mhm.
I don't think they did anything in 5 and 6. Check out the wall anyways, but they did at least show me the line between lot 7 and 8. And then when they came down the other day to check this out, they must have at least found that boundary line for halfway up or something.
How come you've got, wells on both of those and septic land or?
That was already in there when I bought it.
Oh, they were,
You know, there's nothing there.
right,
It
but
was
they,
just
that's where they had
Pre-approved.
proposed it back
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Yeah. Which the lot 7, that is the septic that I would be using. The one up in lot 8, that's never gonna be a thing.
Mhm.
Especially now, if this went through, I would own both of those anyway, so that subdivision's gone.
Given a dry year,
Yeah. Yeah.
we ever have one again.
What's that?
Find that frontage on the bylaws or? I think it's 250.
Page 59.
Well, now, if you look, I don't know if it shows it on your guys's, no, it probably doesn't.
They've got some arc measurements, you know, like-
Yeah.
Also, page 65.
That is this.
He owns these here.
Yeah, he owns all 4.
Okay.
And he's combining 2 of them to make 20, and he wants plus 20 plus, and he wants to make one fixed area allocation out of the one
237.
95, maybe that's where it is.
Well, those lots might have been made before we had the zoning regs. I
So
don't-
2008, I know that.
That's when it was. I think we did have zoning then. Let's see. You'd think after all these years I would know that frontage requirement, but
But you have to think that that's what that arc length means, 200
Is
30
the
feet.
frontage, yeah.
seems like,
because it only shows it for those two.
uh-huh. Anyway, combined, they would be plenty, so
Combined, yeah.
add them together.
Heather, do you have any questions?
You know what the frontage is in the rural by any chance?
Do I what?
Do you know what the frontage requirement is in the rural district by any chance?
Thought it was 200 and something. I should, cause I'm in it, right?
Same here.
Seems like there's a little table that's got all of them,
Have that highlighted somewhere.
and I don't, yeah, right.
Application requirements, dimensional standards and usage 19 says, no. All right, there you go. Dimensional standard,
All right.
frontage in the rural,
219.
275.
Yeah, I thought 400 was kind of,
Application.
Does say on this thing, right, it says zoning data, district, rural, use fixed area allocation, minimum district standards, lot size, 2 acres, frontage, 400 feet.
All right, that's
That
not,
doesn't help us, I guess.
that, well,
no,
that's
the drawing's wrong.
supposed to be 275 in that district, so it's better for you, but I think you got it anyways, but
It's,
conservation district is 400.
yeah, and that should be verified. So I didn't realize it's at the beginning of that long table. Okay. So, yeah, so we need to share with your surveyor, architect, people that are giving the drawings. Obviously Bernard and Jarvis, that they want to verify that they cover everything that is in table 4.1 in the content of the final plot. Also, that they review their numbers from table 3.1. Because the drawing currently is erroneous.
Where exactly is it? Wrong.
It's in this little box.
Page 19 of the bylaws,
Where's
table
the
3.1. Yeah, it says it in a little box, I'm sorry. Says that the frontage is 400, where that would be true if it was conservation, but if this is truly rural, now that's another thing we haven't verified. Is the district actually the rural district?
10 acre.
So we have to look at the plan to find that.
I think all the conservations. in Eastern part of the.
Saw it somewhere, but I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, they do have it on there as rural, but they usually know that stuff too. Yeah, I guess you're gonna have to,
It's a little bit tricky to see on my tiny little map, but it's yellow, which indicates yellow for rural district. There's not really any conservation district between Bakersfield and East Fairfield. The only thing I see is watershed district.
yeah, this is way over right on the border of the Fairfield.
So Just for sake of the minute taken.
Yes.
According to this map, it's district rural, it's a rural district, and it is, so when we've been talking about the conservation district, that we don't need to worry about that.
No.
No.
Okay.
The only reason we mentioned it is that on the map, it shows 400-foot frontage in that little box.
Right.
That's what it is for conservation district. That's why we mentioned it. And then I was just verifying on the zoning map that that area on Route 36 in Bakersfield is zoned rural, not conservation.
Okay.
Because that would,
So we need to have that frontage corrected,
correct.
27.
And then there's a number of different things in the table that are required in the
Okay.
various site plan reviews. For example, you've got to have the boundaries and areas of all contiguous land of the land of record. That appears to be indicated. The dimensions of lot and lot acreage. There is a area, but there's not really boundary dimensions. Specifically, we have one on the west side of 1,618 feet, but that's the only one other than the two lots. 275. I guess if you look down there, the area that is a rectangle,
Mm,
that the frontages would be equal to those.
If we bill, they should take this out
Yep.
and take this out and just call it lot 6.
Yes. And I think that's what they're proposing.
Take
is
this all out.
The
And
blue line between lot 6 and 7 is
7
going to
and-
be.
7 and
dissolved.
And 8. Is it 7?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is 8. Really tiny little number there.
that's not gonna be a boundary line.
That boundary line will be dissolved.
Give up, yeah, right.
Right, and then that'll leave an 18 plus acre lot and a 2.0 acre lot. And then the house is going on that 18 acre. And both of them appear to have, well, actually, if you look at that number there,
274.27.
274. So see your dimension on the south?
Where you said it.
Yeah, so we gotta verify that that
another
dimension up
foot,
on
another
the road.
foot there somehow.
Yeah,
75.
correct.
Yeah, presumably, I mean, I know that arc, the length doesn't really.
Right, one's
Yeah,
a straight
no.
line and one's a curve,
Yeah,
but it's gotta be indicated on the map.
Right.
And it's-
either way, the arc length, if that was the case, that's not long enough anyway.
I know. Yeah,
You would think it's close. I
During it-
mean, you're only off by 0.7 feet, which is a matter of inches. So it's really, it needs to be measured with a surveyor's tool and from marker points. Cause that's gonna violate your whole application if you don't get that 275 frontage.
Right.
I guess I would ask, do you know who was it? Was it Michael that came out that did the, or, yeah?
One time or another, maybe.
You might
I don't
want to
think
just
it's
ask
Michael.
them what that, if they can nail down what that road frontage actually is and hopefully it's the same as this back line. I think that's really workable if it is on the back. Hopefully it's 230 up there on the front. That's quite a bit,
All right. Yeah, I don't understand how that's even possible. The way that they just did this.
They're parallel, yeah.
Bakersfield.
Well, just
See how that would work.
pure geometry, a line is the shortest distance between 2 points. So an arc is longer if they are the 2 points. So the arc would be longer and you probably have enough of it, but needs to be shown on the drawing since it's less than 275 at the straight line. And that's the only dimension we have for that particular frontage on lot 8. which would become, I guess, the new lot 7/8.
Right.
Or,
You would obviously have enough length on the back side here, but those, because you're gonna have two lots now on the road, you need 275, I think, for both of them. I'm not positive about the easement right there. Do you know any idea how long that's gonna be? Sometimes we've been able to use that as frontage, like a road.
How wide it
But
is.
It's long,
the-
like if you need to get to your 275. Potentially that could potentially be on the easement.
Right there, it says 50 feet.
Oh, that's wide, I think, probably.
Right. What difference?
Length is what you need, because you need to get to, if this isn't 275 along the road, you need to get to 275
Is the
somehow
length of
there.
the road counts?
I think what he's saying is the frontage is 50 feet, so half of that would be. Actually, I want to focus on the frontage. Is the frontage going to be all within the new lot 8, or is it also going to be in part of lot 7? Because the drawing is a little bit unclear there.
The lot that he's applying for, the fixed area allocation is red box there.
Right.
So that's gonna have 275.
Oh, that.
Those are both shared.
It's his box.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about this right here.
Yeah, that's a driveway where they've got the easement across the shop lot.
Right, what I'm. So you're gonna have the easement in the deed.
Easement is right on the boundary line.
Yeah, because that's another thing. We always look at these kinds of things, not just for you, the current owner. We think about these for perpetuity.
Right.
And so your deed should clearly state that easement exists and who is giving it and who has the right of way.
Right.
So that if there's ever a change of hands, like let's say you decide you don't want any of these properties, you move out, the people that purchase it from you have no qualms with the current deed
Right.
relative to that easement.
Right.
Okay. Because that, and it happens to be occurring right at the location where, as Ken was describing it, you gotta make sure you've got your road frontage.
Right.
And-
But as far, the only thing that had me confused is with what you said, Ken, is so you were talking length compared to the width. Why would the length
Well,
do anything to the road frontage? The
Well-
length is coming up into my land. That's not touching the road anymore.
right, but it could be potentially considered, I'm gonna ask Luke about this later, but considered frontage because it's actually an access road. So it could, if you had 230 there along the arc and then you had 50 along your easement, that makes 280 total, so you'd get your 275. But I'm not positive that's,
I think the best thing for you to do is to get the frontage on the road. And I think, just again, geometrically looking at this, you got a pretty good chance of that coming out right on that arc. But got to focus on that area there to make sure you get the frontage right, or we're not going to be able to approve lot 8.
So do we need to see another? map
So-
of the photo, or are we comfortable saying?
I feel like
With these changes with it?
I feel like with the limitations that with the issues that we've seen tonight, I would rather see another drawing before we make a motion on this, because I feel like it's important for us to make sure that everything is correct rather than make it conditional.
Right,
This
right.
will slow you down, right, with your building? We
No,
create
it just
the
cost
map.
me another 3. That's all.
I'm sorry about that.
well, they might be able to, maybe when
I
they came.
can't imagine it'd be very hard for them to
Right.
just
right.
pop that into this plan.
Yeah,
I
And
totally
they know that
agree.
They need,
And-
I'm surprised he hasn't done it.
you can argue that when you do, like,
Oh,
yeah,
I-
you need to know the road, you need the road frontage before you can get it passed, so.
And to
you
be
don't have
honest
to-
with you, there's more that the drawing needs. So we just started with the table.
For
So-
final, right, or?
Yeah. So for looking again at the table 4.1 application requirements, I think you probably have the footprint height of existing and proposed structures. So there's a proposed house. Are there any other structures on, okay. Then there's the easements and you show that. Utilities. Are there any utilities that are on the road that you would be able to tap into? You would think that Route 36 has utilities. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes there's telephone, sometimes there's
Oh, yeah.
internet. All
So-
those utilities need to be shown on the drawing too. And then surface waters and wetlands. Now, looking at the zoning map, I did notice that there are some wetlands in the area. It's a
Yeah,
little
there's
hard.
brook right there that
Yeah.
crosses right by that driveway.
It's a little hard to see on our small version of the zoning map, but we can we have a bigger zoning map we can take a look at. But your surveyor needs to verify that there's no wetlands in the properties that are being considered here. And then
Contours need to be on there too.
yeah, we also ask for contour lines. Those are the lines that show you how steep the property is. Because in some cases, you might not be able to either put your house or you might not be able to drill a well because of the steepness of the land. I don't suspect that's an issue there, but it's hard to tell when all we've got is the image of trees and grass with no contour lines, so that contour lines helps us.
Yeah. I'd remind Barnard and Jarvis that they should check with our bylaws. They usually do this stuff when they bring us the
Right.
final map, you know, they usually have all this stuff on there, so I'm assuming they're just kind of waiting for the final map to put it on, because like power is pretty much always on their maps, and I don't see them on here anywhere yet. And so I would just remind them that they need to make sure that map covers all the checklists for Bakersfield's bylaws.
Then I'll have to come to another meeting again.
Yeah, and yeah, normally they would have all of this done now, like,
Yeah, yeah.
You got it.
Do you want me?
as long as you don't need that. And we usually find that they do have everything there.
Frontage is the
Right.
main thing you need to verify that.
Right.
That error on the frontage really hurts.
Otherwise, it looks like it's-
Conditional.
There's no evidence for us to drag on. We feel like it's very likely you got the frontage there. It just has to be measured
Yeah.
and put on the map. And then everything else that's in that table 4.1, and he'll know about that. They've done it for us.
Yeah.
Multiple times. And then we should be able to, when you come back, then look at the drawing and approve it so that you can take those drawings to whomever you need.
We could be able to do the final on the next time.
Right.
Fine.
Like I said, this is the shop stuff. The house stuff is already.
Oh, good. All right.
As long as I get that done and my wife's happy, the shop, I guess I did.
You can.
Now, are you related to the blaster that's out on Route 36 or, 108?
Yeah,
he-
Ricky was my grandfather. I
Ah.
bought the company from him.
Okay, all right.
I'll be having boys down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Good
Okay,
eggs.
Yeah, yeah, right.
all right.
As long as they like each other. yeah.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we just confirm when the next meeting is gonna be, just so that you know?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Because you'll know before you leave here tonight.
So it should be the 4th of April. I will not be here. It should be- Hopefully, by the.
Well, you keep using this word should.
Word for the year.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so the 4th of August looks good for me. You're good?
Yeah.
You good for the 4th of August?
Okay,
Heather, are you good for the August 4th meeting? So we should have a quorum. We should meet at 7 o'clock here, August 4th.
And I will let.
I should
me know.
make sure that he has this done by August.
Yeah,
let Tammy know so that we warn the meeting.
very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
All right, so we are up for you, Luke. Oh, nice, you printed it out. Although I don't know if it's really nice or not. Try to avoid paper.
So it's just.
It's good that you do the duplex. Thank you.
You know, if I use this. So, let's talk about the town plan.
Linda, would you like to see that? Do you have another copy?
Oh yeah, I have a couple more.
Linda's interested in the town plan.
So Luke, I don't know if you know, but Linda is the other commissioner for the NRPC
Okay.
Bakersfield. And she's very active in the community. And she's had specific interest in our town plan revision.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Yeah, so the contract was signed by the select board at the last meeting, so we can begin work now. So I thought this meeting could just kind of kick it off, talk about the schedule, tentative schedule, and talk about the public outreach events that we're gonna be doing.
Are you gonna be working with us or?
Yeah, so it'll be me and then Greta will be supporting. I'll be,
I'm having trouble here. Any questions?
So in addition to your mic, is it on? The little green button. There you go.
the green light is on.
Okay, if you could speak up.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to speak into the microphone.
And it's actually
Yeah,
for in the room here.
Okay.
okay, good.
So, yeah, we're gonna talk schedule and public outreach events. Basically, just starting with the goals of the town plan update. So we're reviewing what's been done and planning ahead for Bakersfield. Also focusing on housing, historic preservation, scenic resources, recreation, other priorities identified by residents. So basically, since we have the municipal planning grant and we have the budget to do like a full scale update with outreach and everything, we're going to base most of the drafting on what the residents identify as the vision as part of that process. So if we look at the schedule, it's sort of these couple initial meetings, and then hopefully we can find a time to do outreach events in the rest of the summer and the fall. And then after that, we can start with the plan drafting, which will take a few meetings, and then get the plan ready to be adopted before the current one expires in November of next year. So we'll talk more later about ideas for specific outreach events, but is there anything else on this schedule?
It's asking about housing, historic preservation, scenic resources, recreation, other priorities. So I would say I'm very interested in language that would describe view sheds
Yes.
that we feel should be protected from development that would potentially detract from those views.
Great.
Specifically, as you come into Bakersfield from Fairfield in the west
Mhm.
on 36, there's a view of the mountains. So we'd like to describe something like that. I think that similarly, there are views on Route 108 as you
Mhm.
come into town from the south and the north. Mostly they're looking out at Cold Hollow Mountains and Mount Mansfield.
Mhm.
And it would be nice to put some language in there that describes these as important to the character of Bakersfield for its economic and social factors.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's definitely something we can add to the plan. That's,
You're talking about houses, Bill?
No, it'd be mostly for projects that would extend above the and actually affect the view of the mountains. So energy project,
Like a tower.
a wind turbine or
No, let's just say-
telecommunications.
Yeah,
Yeah, tall structures. We would prefer to have those outside of that view shed.
Mhm.
And if we could, I think it would be nice if we could actually identify some areas that would be useful for energy projects so that companies, when they come in, they see, we're just not saying no in Bakersfield. We're saying yes here and no there for these reasons.
yeah, so we can definitely do an enhanced energy plan as part of this update, which will give your plan substantial deference, for state energy proceedings. So, when you identify of that enhanced energy plan is identifying specific areas, for different renewable energy types. So, yeah, that's definitely something we can do.
Yeah, I think generally with a mountain landscape, we find solar is fine
Mhm.
because it's typically low.
Yeah.
And towers of any sort are generally less appreciated in those vistas.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's our regional policy too, is, yeah, against.
Just need to identify those spaces.
Mhm.
What we don't have, we sell them. At one time I felt the same way,
Yeah,
but we're in an area where we are a dead zone for
Yep.
sell. And I now realize that people that have those, medical
Yep.
alert systems, when
Yep.
they're not in their homes, they connect with cell towers. So we need to be providing cell tower coverage, for safety and health for our community.
That's one of the
totally.
things we talked about being able to identify, right, Bill, is the places where we would have them.
And if it was possible to have a height description that said just at the tree line, just above the tree line, that could allow it in these areas, because I suffer from it too.
Yeah.
I don't have cell service, probably all, well, you have it, but a lot of people outside of the village do not have cell service. It's only right here around
Right.
the town hall. So I think this would probably, as you can hear Linda, and we're talking about it
Yeah.
amongst us, be a focal point of one of the public outreaches.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I also know that there is a concern by some people about solar that is industrial scale.
Yep.
For example, multiple megawatt.
Mhm.
There's a multiple megawatt facility being proposed on a hill here in town.
Mhm.
Apparently, some people are concerned about that. And we understand both sides of this issue, but I think it would be important for us to get some other voices.
Yeah, have some kind of like a dialogue about,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sort of thinking out loud, would it make sense to have, I'm trying to think what this outreach would look like and getting input from folks like look like.
So one of the things that the Northwest Regional Planning Commission has created are maps. I'm sorry, I thought you would.
No, no, so with the outreach, I'm just
Yep.
keeping things topic specific. For example, the energy issue, I think will bring some voices in that are just interested in that. And there may be some other issues, so maybe having 2 or 3 different, whatever they might be, activities. One focused on energy and cell tower issue and those kinds of things. That people, so we have some focus at those meetings.
Yeah.
Experience they can.
Yeah, yeah, they can really,
And I think it might be helpful to have, as far as the cell tower, like I live down on East Bakersfield Road, and in the mountain, the hills up here are pretty high. So I think it'd be important to have somebody from the cell company be out here representing and say, yeah, you can say, oh, hey, let's put the cell tower here because that's where it would work, for us as far as aesthetic wise, whereas the cell tower company may say, that's not helpful. It's not going to work. It's only going to reach like 10, 15 people, as opposed to if we put it over in this area where it could reach more people. Because I think the whole purpose is to make sure everybody has access to cell service. There's a lot of hunters in this area. Even in myself, with myself, if my power goes out, I have no way to communicate with anybody in the outside world, and so I think maybe having a member, having somebody that can represent the cell towers come out here and say, well, yeah, you guys want to hear because aesthetically it might be better, but it's not going to reach the desired population and be helpful at all. So, is there any way we could get a member of somebody that could represent a cell company out to these meetings to instruct us on the areas that would be best for a cell tower?
Yeah, and we can definitely invite stakeholders to all of these meetings. I think like looking at specific locations for new cell towers is probably outside the scope of like what we're gonna do with the town plan update. But I think if that's gonna be a large part of the discussion, it could still be helpful to have someone from one of the utilities there.
Because I would hate to see that we've deemed areas not eligible without us being properly educated that, hey, yeah, it is aesthetically a beautiful place. We hate to do this, but it might be medically necessary. Just like the prison in St. Albans is way out in this beautiful field. It was necessary to have a prison and in an area that, was aesthetically beautiful at one point.
So I like your point about different focus points. I think one on energy and one on communications, because they're two separate issues. Communications is obviously people being able to talk or connect, while energy got a lot of different variations to it.
Mhm.
So one on communications and one on energy projects.
Yeah. If I just want to say, if we flip a couple of pages ahead, there's a list that I've already put together of like a few of these things, so we can. No, it's okay. I mean, so yeah, I think we could just like work from this list. I can add energy and utilities to this.
And you're seeing this too, Linda, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that the historic buildings issue is a good one as well.
Mhm.
There are some that are particularly old, and then I definitely think that housing, as you described in number 3, would be very important. We have the Brigham Academy.
Mhm.
And the select board has engaged in some work on that, and I think NRPC might be aware of it.
Yep.
They might be able to just have a meeting just on the senior housing possibilities with the Brigham Academy.
Mhm.
And then what I was saying, Nikki, about products, the NRPC has created maps of the places that wind generation is good, where solar generation is good, where there are constraints because of animal habitats or water conservation, protection, etc. So those maps from the energy plan in the regional plan would be good to incorporate into the energy meeting.
Yeah, yeah, we have templates of those maps for all of our municipalities that can go into an enhanced energy plan, because those are actually required for the enhanced energy plan. So we can make sure that's all updated in there and that can be included in the energy section.
And then I think it's important for Linda to share her views herself, but I think we've had some issues. Actually, Linda has shared with us that she's had too about the maps.
Mhm.
How some of the zoning districts do not follow property boundaries,
Yes.
split properties, and how do we handle that?
Yeah, so in the town plan update, we usually revise the future land use districts, which future zoning is based on. So further down the line after this plan, when you update your zoning, you would base it off of the proposed land use districts in this plan. So usually when we're updating plans these days, we try to make sure that all of the district boundaries are snapped to parcel lines. So we'd be going in and revising your current zoning map basically and trying to snap it more to follow parcel lines so you don't end up with situations where like a parcel's half in one district and half in another. If you're interested in like revising your zoning boundaries on like a larger scale, like instead of tweaking it to follow parcels.
You hear better? You sat up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, please do. I mean, we,
Sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah, so if you're interested in revising your zoning districts like as a whole, just tweaking them to follow parcel lines, that could be like a broader community outreach session. But I mean, if that's not a priority, that's not something that you have to look at necessarily.
we're looking at different locations.
Mhm.
Expanding the districts right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think snapping the lines to parcel seems like an obvious.
Yeah, pretty good sized like village district right now, so I think you could probably keep it
Yeah.
the way it is.
We do need to conserve our funds
Mhm.
and our efforts because you have some limitations and as well. But you mentioned the bylaws.
Yep.
We anticipate there'll be interest in revising the bylaws after. And so that would be probably another grant and another opportunity besides this one.
Yeah, so that's typically something that happens after the plan update is then you go and revise your bylaws to make sure that they're implementing the town plan. So I mean, this is a good opportunity to look like broadly at what you like want to accomplish with your land use policies. Like for example, I've heard that maybe there's some problems with the fixed area allocation system.
Who did you bring for that tonight?
Yeah.
Is that plain or is there?
So that's in your zoning, but your plan could basically be a good opportunity to get people to think about like what they want rural areas to look like what development should look like in those areas in general. And then later on, when you update your zoning, you can look at specific policies to achieve that vision.
Like a lot of subdivision hearings of late have been fixed area allocations, which seems like a loophole to me.
Yeah. I mean, and it's something that I haven't heard of any other town that does it this way. And it seems like a lot of an administrative burden to like track because it's time based, right? So you have to,
We don't even know how well that tracking is taking place.
yeah.
And so every time we grant it,
Mhm.
we are really taking a risk that it's not tracked.
Yeah.
And that all of a sudden, the rural district and the conservation district have all of these structures on the road. Because that's where people want their fixed area allocation,
Yeah.
because you gotta have road frontage
Mhm.
to begin with, and the the maximum's 2 acres. So it's almost like you're completely creating the possibility of a more densely,
That's.
yes, exactly. A higher density residential or commercial in the rural and conservation districts when that's not a concern. Although, if the people as a whole want to preserve that, we should hear that.
Yeah. 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 I think that's a good opportunity in the plan. You can look at like what is the pattern of development that we want to see in rural areas? And then when you update your zoning, you can say, is the fixed area allocation achieving that goal or not? Yeah. So yeah, that I think that can definitely be part of the conversation. Is,
Inserts
yeah.
issues the here as
Mhm.
these for years
Uh-huh.
that 19 columns.
Mhm.
We built suggested having a map that showed an overlay of what's actually below.
Uh,
Still on that. Defining and cemetery. Slips forward. Leaving that part of cemetery out and involved in the pond.
uh-huh.
So. Is not backed out from burial plots.
Yeah.
Linda, can you turn your button on? No, you can't hear anything you're saying.
Can you bring that microphone?
Wasn't turned on. Sorry, Heather.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
sorry.
Thank you.
Okay,
No worries.
so the cemetery commission went before the select board in 23 to correct an error of the assumption that the town common was part of the cemetery. And the cemetery commission had been tasked with maintaining the town common since 1963.
Mhm.
And there's a state statute that says cemetery funds cannot be used for anything other than cemetery and cemetery support.
Mhm.
Maintaining the common does not fall under that,
Yeah.
okay?
So so the state policy conflicts with what the town is saying.
So
Yeah.
that was an error and creating a lot of confusion with residents.
Yeah. We can definitely.
Be buried up front.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll make sure that all the maps in the new town plan have that distinction between the cemetery and the town common. There's the facilities, utilities and services section, which will have a map of all of like the town public utilities, facilities and services. And so the cemetery and the town common will be on that. And yeah, we can make sure that that
And know that
is shown.
Bakersfield not only has a town common, they have a town park because people thought we didn't have a public park. So then they bought a piece of land to make into a town park. So now we have both a town common and a town park. Okay. That's ongoing.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Bill, I have a question that I think might be able to help with. So select the panel. I was tasked with the challenge of figuring out when we need the funds to be released from that grant. And maybe that's a bit of a question. So
I think it is a Luke question.
at what point do we need to be paying for your service?
So I can look back at the contract. I know all the funds expire by April 30th, 2027, but we will probably be done with the project by then since that's after when your plan expires. So we probably won't be running up till that deadline. Yeah, I think that this has been the first time managing a project where we've like had an actual contract with the town, but I'll look back at the contract. I think, yeah, we'd be sending an invoice. Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll be sending an invoice. I think it's quarterly or there's a set schedule.
But last time there was
Yeah.
an invoice every calendar quarter. I think.
Yeah.
And then the schedule, the August 10, 2026 meeting with the select board, that would be when they hopefully would provide comments to the plan, or is that when you're looking for them to adopt the plan?
I'd be the hearing for adoption.
Okay. 'Cause we'll probably need to have some meeting before that so that they can talk to us about it.
Yeah,
We could potentially schedule that for the July 6th Planning Commission hearing. If we focused on, hey, select board, here's our plan for ratification
Yeah.
option in August. And maybe we could even have it go out on June 1st with the planning commission warning.
yeah, I mean, that's always a good idea to like let the select board know when you're having the planning commission hearing and invite them to the hearing, and they can provide comments at the planning commission meeting in advance of the select board hearing, so that it's not the first time that they're seeing it. It's usually a good practice. So yeah, we can definitely do that.
Us to warn them, or is that part of your?
We'll be helping. So, yeah, it's like a warning in the paper, like hearing notice, all of that. So we'll be making sure everything stays on schedule, for adoption.
I think it would be a really good idea to.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I think that we're going to need to market our public outreach. It cannot be that we just say, hey, we're having a public outreach. We need to describe all the different topics that are going to be discussed.
Mhm.
Put it into every form of media available.
Mhm.
And hopefully we'll have help in doing that.
Yeah, definitely. And we are helping with the outreach as part of the plan update. I think something that we're thinking about, we can flip to the outreach page.
Yeah.
So we definitely doing like a specific community forum is a good idea. So like a super focused event focusing on the town plan. I think also something we could do is if there's any community events coming up that we could table at, that could be a good opportunity to get the word out and do some sort of like broader there could be like activities at the table, or like maybe some sort of way to just gather information on like what are the topics that you care about, or like what do you think the priority should be for the Bakersfield plan, and then once we have the bigger community forum, we can maybe focus on a few of those, have some like breakout sessions or something. But yeah, if there's anything you can think of that if if you guys are interested in that idea of tabling at community events to sort of spread the word, maybe we could think about like what some of those could be.
Yeah, so the town doesn't have a lot of
Mhm.
activities that are not associated with the school,
Yeah.
except there is like, they still do the hunter's breakfast? No. Is there still something historic society and church for Christmas? I mean, that's kind of late, actually. The
What
holiday,
about the music ones that we used to have where the bands would come out and play on in the town green?
There are some musical things.
so I think that someone that has connection to the school and social media would help us a lot for understanding what kinds of activities. I'll tell you, once your kids grow up and aren't in school anymore, you lose all connection with the social activities, and there's a lot of them. And I don't know who we can try to help help us. But we need somebody.
Mhm.
So when I said we need help, I appreciated that you offered some, but I think we need
Yeah, like community. Yeah.
this community. And I'm thinking about some people that might have kids in school that know the sort of things that are happening, or our teachers that know the things that are happening, the library and the historical society, the church, and
I'm willing to head up a committee to get a group of us together to work on joint activities and reach out to those.
so I
places.
don't know if you were reading my mind, but that's exactly the best solution, because you are
Mhm.
very connected and you're very interested in making sure that we get people out to voice their
Mhm.
interests. And I would sincerely appreciate that, Heather. I'm sorry, I'm looking over
Yeah.
here because the monitor has gone to sleep on us, I think.
Oh.
But
Let's take it to 2050.
yes, we need to zone that. Yeah,
Okay. I know that the school does, like
so if you go down to the carrot at the bottom right, it's like up carrot, it's far to the left of that list there. Move over left. The carrot is a
I don't know.
pointer up. No, the next one, there, hit that.
It's not orange.
Now go up to the second row to hit that, it's Teams. Oh, this is Zoom. I'm sorry, this is not, we're on Zoom.
I'll keep going.
Oh, Zoom is that over here. So go over to the left. See the blue circle? Blue, totally back one. Click on that.
You're back.
Okay.
So the school does have a open house in
Mhm.
late September, early October.
That's good.
I don't know if they would want us piggybacking on that, but it's definitely worth asking.
Well,
That's usually a pretty big event.
I hope that they would, because I hope that we can not only piggyback on some things, but I learned years ago that if you want people to join you, you've got to feed them.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
might even check with the Fleegers. Their young
Oh, Sophie does.
Sophie has a business, and she would sell delicious products that might get people in, and maybe we could also have some food and see if we can get people to come. Sadly, we're doing this, Luke, because we advertised a lot
Mhm.
when we revised our plan
Yeah.
in 2018-ish,
Mhm.
and nobody came.
Yeah.
Literally, we had only the 3 or 4 of us, Gary,
Mm.
Kim, and I.
Very poorly attended.
Yeah.
And it was sad. And I think the winter, the hunting season, school activities, I think actually merging with school activities is one of the better ways to do it,
Mhm.
because that is a focal point. If we could meet before the school thing or after the school thing. But Heather, thank you for
You got
volunteering.
it. Even in my back of my mind, I'm thinking that sometime during the summer, the library does one of those outdoor movies, and maybe piggybacking with that and even helping sponsoring it, like if we'll bring the ice cream,
So
That's because movies have not been going well because of the weather.
Yeah.
We pretty much stopped doing that.
Yeah, indoor activities. And we do have a little bit of money in our account. This would be a good expenditure if we were to get bottled water and maybe some other things.
Yeah. I mean, we have money in the municipal planning grant budget too for like outreach materials and food and snacks and stuff. So yeah, we can
Great, okay.
Cool.
It is an object, but it's not, no object.
Yeah. Yeah, so great. It sounds like there's some ideas. So yeah, I think it would be good to do like the more table, like piggybacking events first, and then we could schedule like later after that's taken place, we could do like a more specific community event with like food and stuff. And advertise it at the tabling event so that people know what's going on. And then that'll be a good opportunity to have like a real like focused discussion about the town plan.
One that drives everybody out here is Halloween.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
This
Yeah.
town. And that could actually be a good one to think about is,
Cool.
because that comes before reviewing the public outreach results.
Mhm.
I don't know what day it is.
Yeah, and there's definitely some flexibility with the schedule too. Like if we want to push the draft date so that we can do like a really good public outreach, then we can definitely do that because we'll have about like 2 or 3 months of room.
Halloween is Friday night. You can't get any better than that. Very few people are working the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So you have all these dates here.
Yep.
And a lot of them coincide with the first Monday of the month, which is our hearings. And we do have some hearings.
Okay. Would it be better to, I mean, the planning commission meets once a month, right? Would it be better to set like an alternate meeting date and
What everybody else thinks.
yeah, because I mean, you guys could switch to 2 meetings a month while we're doing the drafting and then have 1 meeting for your hearings and 1 meeting for the town plan work, if you think that would be better.
If there's, could be some flexibility there because some months we don't have any hearings. Had to not meet twice a month.
Yeah.
So if there's if we don't have any hearings, if we could make that the plan update meeting would be better.
Maybe we could have like one on the first Monday, another on the third Monday.
Mhm.
And then if we have no hearings on the first, we won't meet on the third.
Right, I mean, I don't see that. You're gonna be coming to, are you gonna be coming to most of our plan update meetings at the city or?
Yeah, I think once we get into the drafting, I'll be attending every month to do updates on that. So we could have that maybe be a consistent meeting, and then your hearing meetings could be as needed if you wanted to do.
Right, we could make hearings on the third month. Except for next month, they just telecom.
Yeah, I think what Ken was trying to do was to avoid, if we didn't have both a hearing and this work, we'd only need that one time. If we always made it so that this was monthly or the other was always monthly, then we would end up having probably a lot of twice a month. Trying to
Sort of need to get Brian on this. For planning the hearings.
The other solution is just that we stay later and we try to knock out the hearings from 7 to 8 and then work 8 to 9 on the plan.
Hearings are gonna have to take now.
Right. And that way we don't ever really go over. And what we should think about then is how does the rest of the calendar look for us based on things that we know people are doing and whether we have to adjust our hearing nights. So far, you've scheduled almost everything for that's a date other than the last few. And as the first Monday of the month.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was assuming because these are things that will happen at the planning commission meetings. So like the plan drafting, the reviewing the outreach results, it would be like me coming to a meeting like this and us doing that.
the first one, but any idea if like one time a month during the drafting phase, is that gonna give us enough time? It looks like you got basically five meetings between December 1st and April 6th there.
Yeah, I think that should be plenty of time to do this is a similar schedule to what we've done for like other recent plan updates, and yeah, we usually find that like 5 plan drafting meetings is enough to get through all the content. Yeah, we'll just be going like a few chapters at a time.
Read between the meetings. You can't-
Show up cold?
Yeah,
What's the frontage? Rural.
the hearings, we do show up cold. Like tonight, we didn't even know what this was all about until with plans in front of us. And for the town plan revision, he'll give us like, these are the 2 chapters we'll do next month. We need to read them,
Here, yeah.
make notes in them, so that when we come back the next time, we have them.
Yeah, and yeah, I'll try to send when I go through and edit the chapters, I'll send that like usually at least a week in advance of the planning commission meeting so that you will have time to look through that if you want to sort of review that work before we meet.
So the plan's about 100 pages.
Yep.
And if we break it down, let's say 5 meetings, that's 20 pages. It's,
Some of those chapters are gonna be a little more intensive than
yes,
others.
Yeah.
the new ones on energy planning, communications planning, those will be tricky. The housing one will probably be tricky.
Yeah, and we can also, before we start the drafting, we'll take a look at like the outline of your plan, like all the chapters and the structure and the format of it. So we'll have an opportunity that we can like do some major revisions of that if we want to maybe even make it more concise than 100 pages, because there's probably like, some ways that we could move things around to do that.
So I don't think it's in here, but one of the other topics that we tossed around for more than a decade is a design review board
Hmm.
versus a planning commission. And it almost goes to one of the thoughts that we're having this discussion about, and that's meeting twice a month, is that we might all serve on both a design review board and I guess the companion is zoning.
Or it would be the planning commission and the design review board.
So
Yeah.
we would be on both.
Yep.
And it would primarily be the town plan revision is what we would do for the planning commission.
Mhm.
And then what we did at the hearing, at the beginning of this, is what we would do as a design review board.
Mhm.
So I think it kind of is something that we should think about incorporating into this town plan,
Yeah.
because that might be something if you could share at one of these outreaches and for us and even the select board. The advantages or disadvantages of a design review board.
Yeah, I can definitely share some of that. I think we have like some good resources written out already about that. So I'll take a look at what we have and then, yeah, we can share that.
Is a design review board the same thing as a development review board?
Oh yeah, it's development review, not design. Yeah, development review board
Okay.
versus the zoning board of adjustment, which is what you
Oh,
have.
thank goodness,
now.
get rid of that. Sorry,
DBA.
I didn't say that out loud.
It's recorded. Okay, great. Well, it's good that this is your first one. We'll get you to promise everything.
Yes.
Is there any penalty if we didn't have it done by 11/26?
So if your plan expires, it's usually not a huge deal as long as the interval isn't too long before you adopt a new one. We usually send our certification to the state of all of our confirmation of planning processes in August. So since your plan expires after that, we aren't really like running up into that deadline too hard, but yeah, I mean, it's good to not have too long of an interval with an expired plan in between. Yeah, but there's no penalty if your plan expires.
So I see you have a SWOT analysis here.
Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking this could be a good exercise to come up with ideas for things to focus on in the public outreach, like sort of coming up with a vision. So if you would like to fill this out now and then we could talk about it, or we could fill it out before the next meeting and talk about the next meeting. I think it'd be a good way to just sort of collect ideas and priorities. So yeah, if you're not familiar with this analysis, it's basically looking at like thinking about Bakersfield, what are the strengths, like the advantages, the positive things, the things that you like about Bakersfield, and then things that the town needs to address, the weaknesses. And then the opportunities and threats are more in the future. So like what might change that the town could benefit from in the future. And then the threats are like what are sort of emerging or future problems that the town should be prepared for. Um, so yeah, feel free to write down if you have any ideas.
Yeah, I think that that would be good for us to have for you August 4th.
Yeah, for sure.
You also have for the next meeting on the page before that.
Yep. So next meeting, I was planning to do sort of a data update. That's usually another thing we do at the beginning of our town plan update processes. So basically looking at just the census data that's already in your plan, and also other resources, looking at like the population trends, economic trends, development trends that are happening right now to sort of give context for what we're talking about and make sure that everything's like grounded in like facts. And this can also be a good opportunity to invite stakeholders to the commission meeting, anyone that you think would benefit from the sort of data presentation and being part of that conversation.
The town web page or Facebook page or whatever have a list of contacts for each of the commissions, like conservation, historical. Okay. I would be willing to be responsible for trying to share our meeting agendas relative to the town plan.
They already go.
No, this, the ones about the town
Yeah,
review.
but they will automatically be put on town website. You want something?
What I was going to say was I was gonna mail to those people.
Oh, them.
Like specifically invite.
I only go to the town website a couple of times a year.
Okay.
I think. But I'd like to actually email to each one of those people on that list. We're
Oh,
doing,
you mean all of the people who are on.
right, so hey, August 4th, we're kicking off our town plan revision.
Email them. Go to the town.
Oh, really?
But because you go and advertise on personal email.
Sure, yeah.
If you send it. Then that person can send out the numbers. They would have those.
I just need to get I can get their names.
Yes.
I just don't know how to get
I
their
think that will
emails.
take some communication, show that. I mean,
It's like, does the Conservation Commission have their own email, like on the town website or anything? They can be.
they do, but essentially, stuff goes to Cal. She's something.
Yeah, and we actually,
Hands against people are not checking, missions aren't checking.
and we actually voted against having a conservation commission email. Because, excuse me, a planning commission
No
email,
one's gonna check.
because that means somebody's gotta check it.
Yeah,
And nobody
exactly.
checked. So somehow, what I'll try to find is like, these are the 8 commissioners. Can I get from Kathy an email for somebody on that mission to be a contact so that I can tell them August 4th, we're meeting to kick off our town plan revision.
Mhm.
And then when we get to September, whatever the date is, I'll send them another email. The point is not relying on a static board, but to actually have an active email to everybody. And then if Heather is doing the social media of the same kind of outreach, reminders, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, then we'll cover official media and social media. Does that sound okay? Unless anybody else wants to do it instead of me.
No. You volunteered immediately. Boy, that was nice of you.
What we have.
Well, I feel like we only do this now every 7 years, and it's important and it's worth doing the stuff that's needed to get more people to participate. But it's not the easiest thing to remember to do.
So, Bill, you
Yeah.
mentioned, I just pulled out the different commissions on that website.
Yeah.
I've got Select Board Planning Commission, DBA. Yeah, School Board, Fire Department, doesn't Fire Department do some outreach stuff? What all is that?
No, we have a couple of things,
Yeah.
but I'll have to take a look at.
And then there's the library and conservation. Those are the sort of very meetings.
Now that's on the town. That's the town website.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I know it's changed a lot. Right, right. For now.
Wrapped up.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a pretty good place. So yeah, if we could invite a sort of broader group of people to the next meeting, I think that'd be a good opportunity to keep talking about the public outreach, and then everyone can be there for the data presentation too. I was wondering for like, Heather, you talked about like an outreach kind of like subcommittee or like a broader group. Would that be, would you be coordinating, like inviting them to the planning commission meetings, or would that take place like as sort of like a separate thing, do you think?
I would just expect that they would want it, we would want people at the planning commission meetings, correct?
Yeah, I
As
mean,
we're going,
yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, if you could also, yeah, invite, I don't know, like people from the school or whoever else like is involved with community events to the next meeting, I think that would be good, because then we can talk about what sort of events we can plan for and start getting that schedule laid out.
Sounds good.
Well, Ken was bringing up a good point, and that is with the consolidation of the Montgomery and Bakersfield school district. It's now, is Richmond, Berkshire. There's now actually a rep from here that goes there as opposed to a school board here. So it's less town specific. You just need to find that person. Arlene.
Yeah, and also if you guys want to fill this out for next time, the analysis, and then maybe also when you're inviting other people, you could invite them.
Homework.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to, oh, go ahead, Gary.
Luke.
Yeah.
This is subject to change.
Yeah, did you have anything that you wanted to bring up on that, on the future land use map?
It should be. You're never gonna make your quotas to build houses you need, because you don't have the land in the village. Right in the village. So they're gonna be going out in the country.
Yeah, I mean, this is just looking at areas Act 250 exemptions. So this doesn't change or like supersede your local zoning anymore. This is part of the regional, which is going to be the new areas can be exempt from Act 250. So the pink area would be the area that's exempt from Act 250.
Saying that it's both the
This right here.
village and the pink.
Yeah.
Here, should be changed. Before, it was high density residential going down Route 36.
Yep, yeah, that doesn't change. So that's your zoning. And so this map is different from that. This isn't changing at your zoning districts or any of that.
Cause you're gonna, what's that?
That's Act 250 stuff there, that map.
Yeah, well,
It's not changing our zoning maps at all.
you know something? You didn't need any Act 250 stuff here. Because
Yeah.
you haven't got 10 lot subdivisions coming up or anything like it.
Yeah,
And the other thing is, I think maybe certainly the planning commission, and you should be going along too. We should be, town isn't very big. We should walk around and see what's available,
like for new housing.
because there isn't much.
Yeah,
And the numbers for our town are pretty high.
Yeah,
they're pretty high for the region. So looking at splitting them between the towns, it's resulting in a pretty high number everywhere. But it's basically just it's sort of a planning exercise to get you to think about like what would that number of housing units look like in our town, and like where would we put that and where should we direct that?
Yeah, I think the accessory dwelling unit is a good solution for a community like this. You've already got a lot, you've got a structure on it. You don't need your kid's bedroom anymore because they are off on their own. You make that into an accessory dwelling unit. That's one of the few ways that we could help in this town.
but not everybody wants an accessory
No,
dwelling.
not everybody does.
They're in the village and they want the place for their garden and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There just isn't. And a lot of the land goes downhill, and a lot of it goes uphill,
Mhm. Yeah. And yeah.
taking away a lot of land
Mhm.
that's should be available. If you look at the map, then, oh, there's a lot of building lights, building sites.
Mhm.
There isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we definitely like we can't control all of the factors that are making housing not being built right now, like, physical constraints or the cost of construction, anything like that. But I think the main goal of what is making sure that we're not creating any additional barriers. Like if there is someone who wants to build an accessory dwelling unit, or build something in the village, trying to remove those extra Act 250 barriers to make that easier to happen. Because it's just focusing on what you can do as a town to do your part, understanding that there's still other challenges.
The state is pushing for more housing, and they
Yep.
should, okay? When you got a town like Bakersfield, we've got water, we got good soils.
Mhm.
But if we're gonna expand, where else? Is there any funding from the state to expand the water?
Yeah, I mean, that's like definitely something that the towns are having problems with. I think the state does have some like water system funding available, but yeah, I mean, my opinion is that they should be funding that more, water and wastewater systems, if they're setting these housing targets, because that's how towns are going to be able to actually achieve those housing targets in their villages, is by expanding the water and wastewater systems. So I hope that they fund that.
You know,
Well, thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah, of course, you too.
We all have to dedicate more to this for this roughly 1 year period.
Ask you a planning question?
Yeah, sure.
Talking to Colton there about using the driveway as potential road frontage. Is that legit or?
No, you would have to look at your bylaws to see like what types of roads count for frontage. Like they might exclude private roads or might be only certain classes of roads.
Driveway frontage for someone, I wasn't sure if that was a real legal thing or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, I'd have to look into it and like look at what your bylaws say.
Specific to towns, I guess. Specific to towns, I guess. I mean, a town.
Like, I haven't really looked at enough of these cases, you know, like in general, what the thing is, but yeah. Yeah. I would say probably private like driveways don't count for frontage because I think then you could just make a driveway wherever you want and then count that for frontage.
I mean, the time we did it was sort of for a landlocked property and.
Yeah, yeah, I guess in that case, yeah, it's like all you could do. Yeah, I don't want to say anything too definitive because, yeah, I don't know.
In case you knew off the top of your head.
Uh, yeah, spot. Very.
The other thing I have is a thought about how we might be able to hear you better.
Okay.
I think we need to think about.
We can hear you fine. It's Gary.
Turn that air conditioner on
really Garrett.
here, and the
And,
air
uh,
conditioners are like.
So I'm actually thinking, when we did this last time, we actually sat around a table too.
Mm.
And it's easier to hear everybody.
Trouble is, we have to video legally.
Right. So the thought I'm having is, can we figure out a way to get Luke
We can
closer to us?
Scoot that table.
Yeah, I mean, we can just push this whole thing up there, right?
Why don't we think about that if you're okay with it?
Yeah, I mean, that's good.
Because feel for our members to make sure that they can hear.
Yeah.
Great. Again, thanks, Luke.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you on August 4th. Okay, sounds good.
So much.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, everyone.
The other thing I was thinking about is reaching out to John West because I know the microphones are geared towards the Zoom and not for the in-house. And we knew a couple months ago that we had problems with people hearing, you know, just in general behind the speakers. So it might be good to reach out to John and ask John if there can be a way to have a microphone inside that would address everybody in the room, but not like echo in for the Zoom, because I know it's hard. It's typically either one or the other, but I think there's a way we can do it. We just have to switch the audio inputs and outputs.
I think we'll start with just moving the table up closer to
Mhm.
our table.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
that works, then
We can really hear you. Good.
yeah, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Sorry, it's probably really turned up really loud. But I was just thinking in the back, I remember
Years.
somebody else was here last time that couldn't hear out in the audience, and it was not just the people at the table but in the behind. Do you remember that at it was a ZBA hearing, and they were very agitated at the fact that they couldn't hear anything we were saying, and so I think it does need to be addressed on a whole level,
Yeah.
you know.
Alrighty. Well, thank you again.
Good night.
Stop careful. Lots of you running.
So just for transparency, Ken was asking about frontage. And while you were talking, I looked it up and I thought I'd share it with everybody. So frontage is defined in the bylaws as the boundary of a lot on an improved street, a road, right of way, or other legally approved access. For purposes of these regulations, required frontage shall be the access to the property, lot, or parcel. So it seems that the Route 36 as well as that right of way
would be,
would be counted as frontage. We don't know what those dimensions are because they're not on the map. But still now we have clarified that it does include not just the road, but the access.
Yeah, but state law, 1 year survey, 2 lots, state thing.
Mm,
And just like where,
mm,
the subdivision I had down
Yeah,
where I live, each one of them has a shared with 2 houses.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you split each side
you
with
get in,
the one
then they
and
go
the
up.
other? Okay, so that makes sense. So the left belongs to that property and the right belongs to the other property.
yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Well, thanks, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Good night. All right, so the next thing is the May and June minutes.
And March and
I don't know what happened to June minutes. I've tried multiple times to send them. I have them on my computer.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
thought,
weird. They look,
it's just like
Yeah,
I don't know
fine.
what's happened. That's a
So look-
format thing. I need to cut and paste and do some trickery with,
we can at least act on the May minutes.
can act on the main minutes if
And,
everyone's.
and Ken is,
is that the one that you did send?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I read those.
all right, do you want to act on the May minutes?
Yeah, I move we accept those May minutes.
Second. All right, we have a move to accept the May minutes as provided by the secretary. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Okay, 4-0. Oh, Heather, did you vote?
I tried to unmute fast enough, but yes, I said aye.
All right, 5-0.
Sorry.
Very good. We'll postpone the June minutes until they can be made visible. Yeah, they're invisible for now. All right, so the next meeting is August 4th. Now, one of the last thing before we adjourn is this agenda and minutes idea. Nikki and I are gonna work on getting that squared away with things that we hear. We've communicated with Tammy to let us know or to post them, right? But what we haven't communicated is what you brought up, and that is Brian sharing with us these hearings so that we can get them on the agenda. Is it Brian?
So
That-
last time Tammy just messaged me and said, I've just warned a hearing for tonight.
Okay. We kind of need to ask her to make that
I'm not sure it's her job.
I know, it's not,
That's
it
the
should be, maybe we.
is Brian asking her to do that?
I think she is just doing it. She's messaging me because she knows I'm putting the agenda together and she knows that we've been missing it. I
So
think actually I think you're right. I think it's Brian.
do we have Brian's email?
He has mine, so I'm gonna assume I have his somewhere.
Okay,
Do you want me to communicate with Brian?
would you ask him that when he needs a hearing to tell us, because we have to be able to put them on the,
And it would be nice to know what it is ahead of time.
more than just, I got a hearing.
Right.
Yeah,
Or that we find out about it only when the,
the agenda comes out.
because now, especially with this year of meetings,
It's gonna be busy.
it'll be good for us to know, yes, there's a hearing,
Yes,
or there's multiple hearings, or there's no hearings.
right. That way we can sort of coordinate with Luke maybe a little bit too.
Yeah,
Cause if Tammy's warning a hearing, what is it, 10 days before, 15 days before?
15.
So yeah, she'll know 2 weeks out. If we're gonna have a hearing, or Brian will, or someone will, and so if we don't have one, then we can dedicate the whole meeting to.
right. And if we
Also,
do
like-
have like two, we could even tell Luke, don't come till
Don't
8.
come.
Right.
And maybe it would be good if we could load them into one meeting.
And
where
then
we know
here's
we can
another
have-
question, since we're bringing it up. Do we want to change our meeting time just for this coming year to 6 o'clock, for example, so that we get an hour earlier start? I'm just throwing it out there. I don't
Once
feel,
the days get shorter, that's better for me, but.
right,
So not until the fall, but I think that might be,
yeah, so we can think
I'm
about.
okay, 6.
Yeah, okay. So we'll definitely try to stay with 7, but if we start to see that some, like, we're looking ahead at the next month and it's a complex subject, we might say, let's get together at 6.
Yeah, that will be tight for me just because I have a hour commute and it's an Essex commute, so.
Oh,
it's-
wow. Oh, that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can make it, I can probably make it work, but it might be tight. sometimes.
Okay.
I will be
Well,
hungry.
we all- How about you, Heather?
I'm generally good. I have to work at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's why I stayed home. So I'm in the comfy of my pajamas.
it's okay.
Sorry. Not
Yeah.
pajamas. No, it's professional clothes. I didn't say pajamas.
How's things going, Heather? Okay?
Good, good. All healed and they got everything. So thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
Great news.
thank you so much for asking. Thank you.
Good to
Well-
hear, yeah.
Pray for the best.
Thank you.
I'll move we adjourn this meeting.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Bye.
We are adjourned at 8:47.
47.
Wow.
Jen.
Okay. So that kind of gives you a sense. We did the first hearing in about 45 minutes, about 30 minutes, and then the rest, hour and 15 on planning. So we got to have at least an hour of planning. And if we can do them 7 to 8 and 8 to 9, I think we can get out of here by 9 o'clock.
I think that's a good goal.
I'd like it too.
I can't see how to stop recording this meeting.
So if you go to the top,